Sorry about that. The other video got cut off, and so here's the second video. You should have had the opportunity to try to find calculate the mean, median, mode, outliers, and range. I do want to talk about a couple of things here. So again, the mean, I would add up all of these numbers, and this time I'm dividing by 10 because there were 10 adults that were surveyed to get a mean or average of 4.5. I want to talk about the median this time because when I put these in order from least to greatest, 10 pieces of data, and I cross off the smallest and then the largest, and I keep crossing off the smallest and largest, what happens is all my numbers get crossed off. There is no number left in the middle, but my job is still to find the middle number. So I have to figure out what number is in the middle of the last two that got crossed off. What number is in the middle of these middle pieces of data? And so the number that's in the middle of 3 and 5 is 4, which is why I have a median of 4. Again, I have a mode of 5 that occurred 3 times. Let's talk about this outlier. And so again, looking at this endpoint down here of 1, that is very similar to the other endpoint of 1 and the 2 and the 2. So 1 is not an outlier. But my 15 over here looks very different or is very far away from the other number next to it, 6. And so because 15 is really far away from the rest of these data points, we call that an outlier. Finally, the range is the difference between the smallest and largest piece of data. And so we have a range of 14. All right, let's take a look at the dot plot and see if we can answer questions based off the dot plot. So it says students were surveyed and asked, how many pets do you have? The dot plot below represents their responses. Answer the questions that follow. So the first one says, how many students were surveyed? So each dot represents one student who was surveyed. And so if I count the dots, I have 1, 2, and then I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. It says to find the mean of this data. So that means I have to add up all these data points. I should have 21 data points that are getting added up, right? So I have 0 plus 0 plus, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 ones. So I'm going to do it this way. Plus, there are 7 2s. So instead of writing 2 out 7 times, I'm going to write that there were 7 2s. Plus, there were 3 3s, plus a 4, a 12, a 13, and a 43. That person said they had 40 fish plus 3 more pets, all divided by 21. Okay, that way I don't have to write out all 21 pieces of data. I can just say 5 times 1 or 7 times 2 to say how many 1s and 2s we have. When I do that, I end up with 4.76. The median would be the middle number. Now I have 21 pieces of data. And so median is the middle or halfway. And so if I take 21 and divide by 2, I'm going to end up with 10.5. And what that means is that I should have 10 data pieces on the left that goes towards the middle, 10 data pieces on the right that works towards the middle, and then what's left over is my median. So let's do this. I'm going to cross off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I crossed off 10 pieces of data on the right. I'm going to go back and I'm going to cross off 10 pieces of data on the left. So the red was on the left. My apologies. I crossed off 10 data pieces on the left. Now I'm going to go and cross off 10 data pieces on the right. So the 43, 13, and 12, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And notice that now I've crossed off 10 data points on the left, 10 data points on the right. I have this one left over in the middle. And so in order to keep track of where that middle is, you can always take the number of data pieces you have, divide by 2, and figure out where the halfway point is. This data point is at the 2. The mode is also 2 because I have 7 of those. Are there any outliers? If so, state them. Yeah, actually, it looks like these data points are really far away from the rest of the data that's kind of clustered between 0 and 4. And then I also have this third outlier. So it feels like we have 12, 13, and 43. So you can have multiple outliers. And then the range, again, is the distance between the min and the max. And so I have a range of 43. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get some quick notes down on some definitions here. Okay. And so you're going to flip in your packet to the 9.4 notes for measures of center. When we talk about the mean, we are talking about the average. So I'm going to put that word in here. And we said that in order to find that average, I have to add up all the numbers in that data set. And then we are going to divide by how many numbers are in that data set. The median we think of as being the middle number. And in order to find the median, we have to put the numbers in order from least to greatest. And then find that middle number. Sometimes there is no middle number, okay? And so if there are two middle numbers, and we're going to average those numbers. So I'm going to say if two middle numbers then average those numbers to find what is in the middle, okay? The mode is the number that occurs the most often. Okay, and so really I'm just going to write the same thing here, value that occurs most often. And an outlier is a value that lies outside of the rest of the data. So I'm going to box off lies outside. Outlier lies outside. So it's either much smaller or much larger than the rest of the data. Okay, so your job is to go ahead and practice these two problems. In one, you were given some test scores. You're asked to find the mean, median, mode, and outliers. When it says which measure of center is the best, a measure of center is the mean, the median, and the mode. An outlier is not a measure of center because an outlier is not in the center of the data. It says which measure of center is the best indicator of the student's performance on test scores. In other words, which measure of center, mean, median, or mode best represents your overall quiz scores. And then 2 says, given the data from this dot plot for goals scored, identify the following: mean, median, mode, and outliers. If you have any questions, let me know.